In November 2024, I had the opportunity to try an incredible vegan omakase experience at KUSAKI in Los Angeles, led by the award-winning head chef, Chef Pearl. I posted a detailed review and recap video on ChipLifestyle.com. I wanted to know more about her story and insight to share with you, so I got a chance to interview her for episode 4 of True Conversations. Now let her introduce herself.
Thank you for having me. This is such an honor being here, actually. And I really appreciate you for doing this. I'll introduce myself real quick. My name is Pearl Steffi, and I'm the head chef and co-owner of Kusaki, which is a plant-based sushi restaurant that based in Los Angeles. My journey culinary world started with my love for food, culture, and sustainability. Happy and fortunate to create experiences that celebrate vegan cuisine, and whether through a private catering, restaurant dining, or intimate omakase experience.
For sure. And that's amazing. And because you mentioned the private catering, something that I did want to mention, and I guess maybe talk about was I remember I saw on your story that you're doing a private catering for Billie Eilish, which is like incredible. And then you were also, named the 2024 Veg Out Chef of the Year. And then also, while we met in person during your omakase, like, being told about like as well as like your whole story about how the vegan community came together, you've already have so many achievements under your belt. Just wanted to ask you about if any of them kind of stand out, or if you want to maybe talk about any of the ones that I just mentioned.
There have been so many memorable moments, but one that stands out is how the vegan community rallied around Kusaki when we needed it most. That experience really solidified my belief that food is not just for nourishment. It's about, I think, the love and the connection that you build with your customers, and also, the shared values. Seeing people come together to support a plant-based vision like ours reminded me what I do. I think it reinforced my commitment to pushing boundaries in vegan cuisine and making sure Kusaki remains a space for creativity and sustainability.
Absolutely. And like that's something I really appreciate as a vegetarian. Because like I'm from Toronto, and when visiting LA, I was like, all right, cool, this is fire. And it's just how creative you are with the plant-based dishes, right? Like from the Wagyu beef to like the torch sushi and the caviar and the gold and stuff like that. It's bougie, but it tastes good too. But what I really like is like you're not hurting animals. And I know the constant like flack that people get. It's like, oh, if you're a vegetarian, if you're vegan, why do you want to have that? Well, for me personally, like that's the whole point, right? It's sustainable, right? It's also compassionate about other people, other
Yes.
things in our ecosystem. So thank you for that. I just wanted to make sure to let you know that too.
Thank you, thank you. Yes, I think Kusaki, our mission is to promote, compassionate and sustainable lifestyle.
And also, Chef Pearl, like how did that Billie Eilish, because I know she's vegan and as well too, like how did that come about, if you don't mind me asking?
Actually, it was unexpected. We were so busy with the dinner service, but also on top of that, we have off-site catering order. So it was like a big party. We were so busy, we were like running out of time, and then someone just called to put in a to-go order. I was like, I don't think I have enough time to do a to-go order because like I'm busy preparing for the dinner service, and on top of that, I have this big catering order that need to be picked up in an hour. It's a big to-go order. It was like a little bit of everything on the menu. I was like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. I don't think if I can do this.
A few moments later.
I'll take it, in my head. Well, let's make this money. I know it's gonna be a pain. It's gonna be tough, but let's just make this money. So we eventually did that to go order, and then the day after that we found out that it was Billie Eilish.
Wow.
and then and then she really loved the food, and she was like, I want them for my um uh, concert dinner. And we were so stoked because we were not expecting it. Like you have sometimes like you have no idea who's who's ordering your food to go, and it was like it just happened that it was Billie Eilish. So yeah, that I think that was a memorable experience for sure for me and my staff.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, the concert looked incredible too from your story. So I remember
Yeah.
seeing that too. So that's amazing. And I love that you're treating it just like cool. Like you're gonna make money for you and your team, but also like it's an order and fortunately that worked out for you. And I think that's like the blessing of Kusaki from what I've noticed, right? You care about your craft, you care about what you do, and the community that you build, right? And I think it's just
Yeah.
positive kind of karma that comes back. So I think that's really dope. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about as well, Chef Pearl, is that, this year's theme for International Women's Day is accelerate action. And you being the award-winning chef, especially like a woman chef, female chef in this industry, I can only imagine the hardships and challenges that you go through. And I wanted to ask you a bit about if there were any challenges or hardships that you can recall and you can talk about, you feel comfortable talking about, and what kind of perspectives helped you to overcome those challenges and obstacles?
Yeah, I get this this question a lot. And yeah, I always say that the culinary industry is very tough, and as a woman, especially in like leadership, there are moments when you have to work twice as hard to be taken seriously. And there were times when I felt underestimated or overlooked, but I learned to turn those challenges into motivation. I think instead of like proving others, like my talent or my skills, I focus on refining my craft and building a strong team. And I think staying true to your vision. And one perspective that helped me push through was the realization that uh, leadership isn't about fitting into a mold, and it's more about creating your own path. And I always choose to lead with empathy and collaboration and creativity rather than just authority. And I think that's what like helped me build not just a restaurant but also a community. I mean, it shows like how much like the vegan community like love Kusaki. And I think my advice to other women in the industry is to just trust your voice, build relationship with people that who will uplift you, and never be afraid to take up space.
That's an amazing response. Thank you. And I do want to also mention that I think you say it and you also walk the talk, because when I was at the omakase, I was also talking to your other sous chefs, right? And they also said like like I wanted to work with you. And then I also see like it's like your front of house staff, right? It's also like a good rapport that you have. Like it's almost like a family, right? And I think
Yeah,
that's how you're enduring all this, right? And it goes to show because you're a leader like yourself.
yeah, exactly. I always try to create a healthy work environment for my staff. I don't want them to feel like they're coming to work and like feeling this anxiety because they fear me, or I don't want them to feel that type of way. I want them to come to work like excited and motivated because um I I created that environment for them, and I treat them as a family because I see them every day. Like you work with them every day, so I think it's better to create a healthy work environment for everybody.
Other things I learned about like from this one omakase is like also about your Filipino heritage, right? And I think that was really cool, because like the creator that was sitting beside me, he was telling me, he's like, no, like I came because, I heard about this Filipino chef. I heard that she takes pride in being a Filipina. And, like for me, like I'm from Scarborough, which is like the borough in Toronto, which is has like a lot of Filipino people as well. So I always grew up around that culture too. And it was really cool first and foremost, like to actually meet another like to meet a Filipino person that was actually progressing in vegan culture, which is not really common.
Yeah.
And I think like that itself was really dope. But I wanted to ask you kind of more about your Filipino roots and your heritage and what it means to take pride in being like a Filipina.
To me, being a Filipina is such a big part of who I am. And I love incorporating those influences into my food. Um, Filipino cuisine is so rich and diverse and full of history, and it's really exciting to reimagine it into a plant-based way. So when I prepare dishes inspired by my heritage, whether it's through flavors, techniques, or just storytelling, I feel like I'm honoring my roots while also showing the tradition and innovation can go hand in hand. And um, for me, taking pride in being a Filipina also means embracing the values I grew up with, which are resilience is one of that. That's the big part um, of my values. Also, hospitality and the idea of the food is a way to bring people together. No matter where I am in the world, that sense of community and warmth is something I carry with me to um, share through my cooking.
If you don't mind me asking, Chef Pearl, where from the Philippines are you from? Where your parents are from?
So it's a very small island. I don't think a lot of people know about it, but it's called Antique, part of Panay Island. It's closer to Boracay, which is like one of the famous tourist
Tourist
spot in
travel.
the
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Philippines. Yeah, so we're very close to that island. That's our neighbor island. So that's
Oh,
where I come from.
honestly, yeah, like I think it's more than just like ube and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It's not just about like the ube and the
Sisig and like
the
yeah,
sisig, like the pancit, which is the stir
yeah,
fry noodles. Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of flavors, that a Philippine can offer.
Something I also wanted to ask you, like it's maybe like what's next for you? Because I know like just kind of the journey that Kusaki has been on is a roller coaster, from, being closed to then being reopened and then having this decision as well to kind of pivot. But like even before then, you've been offering like different ways, like different revenue streams, whether it's like the sushi classes, the pop-ups. That on its own as well is like a great like business mindset as well, right? Just in terms of survival. Because it's really hard right now, and I can only imagine from your perspective. But I wanted to ask you a bit about that and maybe what's next if you can share about with Kusaki and maybe like advice that you have for others that may be in a similar situation.
Yeah, so right now we're currently doing pop-ups, so we're only open for limited days, but I'm always looking to grow. So the next step for me is to continue evolving Kusaki and exploring new ways to push boundaries of plant-based cuisine. So whether that means creating new menu concepts or collaborating with other restaurants, or I think even expanding into other culinary experiences. So I'm really excited for what's ahead. Now I think right now like the world is my oyster, so um, I can um, do anything I want to do with but only focusing on the plant-based cuisine. Ever since that we closed Kusaki and we're just like only doing pop-up, I've had a lot of business owners who also going through the same thing. Like they've been reaching out to me and they're like, I know what you're going through because we're like going through the same thing, and they're like asking like, how are you doing? How are you holding up? All I can say is, whether you're starting out in the industry or facing setbacks or just unsure of your path, I'd say this, to just stay true to your vision and don't be afraid to take risks. I love to take risks all the time. Like just I just make sure that I surround myself with people that believe in me, and I just try to remember that success doesn't have to look like what everyone else expects. So if you're just passionate about what you do, just keep doing, because your unique voice is what the world needs.
No, that's great advice. Like I said before, right? And I told you, like, I was bummed out when I was like, oh man, like you guys are closing. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, I
Yeah.
got here, and then all my classmates at USC, when they see my stuff, they were like, whoa, like this is fire. I had no idea. And then it's like, oh snap, it's closing. But then I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? No, it's pop-ups, it's happening. And
Yeah.
it's just part of the process, right? It's just part of this whole
Yeah,
journey.
it's not the end of everything,
Yeah.
I really try my best to keep the Kusaki name alive in some ways. So to me, it's either we do pop-ups or we go out of town and collaborate with the other restaurants, then I'll I'll do it just to keep the Kusaki alive somehow.
Like I really do appreciate you once again for doing this, Chef Pearl. Like CHIP, lifestyle, like CHIP itself is an acronym, challenging hardship, new perspective. And that's the main reason why I started the blog, and just like a life motto that I created for myself and kind of defined how I persevered. And that's why I do this series, because I want to talk to people that have also overcome adversities and learn new perspectives. So once again, like thank you so much for having all this words of wisdom, but also being honest and vulnerable in this conversation. Did you have any other final thoughts that you would like to share in this interview?
I just want to say, like, thank you for having this platform and for, like putting um, the people stories out there, like, stories like this. I think that it's very important uh, to have this, because you don't know like how many people you're inspiring every day with, just sharing stories. So thank you for that, and I really appreciate you for having me here
Thank you
today.
so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
Chef
you.
Pearl.